Now, with that being said, let's dive back into the discussion. And I'm going to start with, how do I know the marking requirement? Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you and give us some perspective. How do I know if I need to mark with IUID?
Thanks, Peter. Well, obviously that's the first question. And how do I know whether or not I have this requirement to put an IUID label on my asset? And it's really very simple. You're just going to take a look at your contract, and you're going to look for one of two items. You're either going to look for MIL-STD-130, which is the DoD standard for itemization and marking of property and assets, or you're going to look for the DFARS clause 252.211.7003, which is the marking requirement. So within your contract, if you see either of those items in there, you know you have an immediate requirement for IUID.
Now, how does that differ at all if I'm dealing with end item shipments going to the government, or whether I'm dealing with government property that I need to be tagging and reporting on an annual basis?
Well, when you're talking about end items that you're providing to the government, typically there's two types of formats, or what is referred to as constructs. Construct 1, which would be made up of your cage code and the serial number of the item that you're marking, also using either a DODAC or a DUNS number in place of a cage code. And probably 95% of the time, customers will use their cage code as the identifier. In terms of, and that's in terms of property. So when you're doing a property mark, you're going to use a construct 1 in almost all cases. End items, however, you're going to use a construct 2 format, where you're going to use, again, your cage code, your part number, and your serial number.
And if I could comment there, Dan, too, my experience has been construct 2 works well with end items because the engineering community typically likes to serialize that part number scheme that's been created for those particular assets that are shipping off to the government. So it works well from the point of design in this total life cycle asset tracking methodology that DoD has put in place. So from the design point, the engineers enjoy having the fact that the part number, the original part number, is embedded in that construct, right?
Exactly. From the end item perspective, you're serializing at the part number level, whereas on the property side, you're serializing at the EID, the cage code level.
Just out of curiosity, in your experience, Dan, what percentage of all IUIDs created would you say are construct 2s versus construct 1s?
It's really very high. You're looking at a good solid 90%, in some cases higher, but generally 9 times out of 10, you're looking at a construct 2 requirement. Okay. And within the contract, in case you're wondering whether or not you have a construct 1 or construct 2, usually that's specified in the contract. If it's not, you may want to contact the personnel in the contract requirement process and just ask them, is there a construct 1 or a construct 2 requirement? Usually they will tell the supplier or the manufacturer, go ahead and use either one in some cases. But if that's the case, I would lean toward the safe side and use the construct 2 format when dealing with end items. And again, on the property side, typically the construct 1 format is generally